Pathashala has begun Chaitanya Pathashala. Your experience being in Nepal and some other experiences related to Nepalese food.
When we first arrived here, we arrived in Delhi. Hana Mitotsa, which I think
Khana Mitocha.
Hana Mitocha. I'm sorry about the pronunciation. To be able to take your auto rickshaw, and they are fantastic. It's surprising, but a lot of the people we see around the town, they shout out in English.
Did you feel when you were welcomed at the gate of Chaitanya Pathashala for the first time? Respected audience, good morning and Chaitanya Namaskar to you all. Chaitanya Pathashala is the confluence of values, culture and civilization. It not only focuses on curriculum-based learning exercises in classroom, but also creates opportunities for students for their leadership development and personal growth. So this is the first time Chaitanya Pathashala has begun Chaitanya Sambad, and in this Chaitanya Sambad we have invited our guest teacher Russell, and I would like to welcome to Russell in Chaitanya Sambad here. Welcome Russell, and thank you for being in our company today here.
Well, thank you, Principal, for inviting us to spend some time with your school. We are very privileged, my wife and I, who have been here for 10 days now, and will be staying for another 3 weeks. And we have had a wonderful time in your, as you described, family or community, and hope that we can contribute something to your students and to your teachers. So
thank you very much.
Again.
In a short conversation, I will be putting some questions related to your experience being in Nepal and some other experiences related to Nepalese food, language, culture. So you are welcome. Feel free to talk in this conversation, okay? So, could you introduce yourself first of all?
Yeah, my name is Russell Lynch, and I'm a teacher by profession. I studied modern languages, but I became an English language specialist, and I've taught in England, in schools, and also abroad at different universities, in particular in Italy. And we wanted to come to Nepal to have a different kind of experience.
How did you come to visit Nepal?
Well, my wife and I both like hiking or trekking.
I see.
And we had been to India some years ago, and we enjoyed our experience there. And we had read about great mountaineers who had climbed Everest and the other mountains in Nepal. And this kind of inspired us to, and it aroused our curiosity as well.
Is this the first time you have ever visited Nepal, or have you visited Nepal before?
No, it's our first time, and it's been a very pleasant experience.
I see. So, in connection with travel experience and impressions, what were your first experiences when you arrived here?
Well, when we first arrived here, we arrived in Delhi, and we hired a car with a driver, and it took us, I think, 7 hours to get here by car, and that allowed us to get to know the countryside and the way of life of people in Nepal. And the first impact probably was the way people greet each other with joining hands.
I see.
And I think that's a wonderful way of namaste and communicating, and people have been incredibly friendly.
Okay. If I tell you to make comparison between Nepal and other countries that you have ever traveled, What differences would you like to present in a short talk?
It's difficult to be concise and brief, but I think the main thing that I've noticed is the hospitality. I mean, it maybe could be a little bit embarrassing because people are so hospitable, and everybody we've met, and even people we don't know, if we say namaste and join our hands, they respond very positively, which doesn't happen so much in Europe, and I enjoy that sense of being part of a big community.
Are there any cultural differences that surprise you here?
Not particularly. What I did notice is the walking around the school, because my wife and I like walking, is the sustainability of people. They have in their houses and near their houses a piece of land.
Struggling.
And they have animals as well. And they're very self-sufficient, which is something which people are trying to do more in Europe, and not just depend on the supermarket and not know the provenance of the things that we buy, etc.
Okay. Have you tried any local food, and what is the flavor in your opinion?
Well, obviously it's spicier than what we're used to, but in the UK there are quite a few Indian immigrants who have been here for many years, been here in England for many years, and so we're used to eating Indian food. And apart from that, I enjoy the organic nature of the food that you produce in the school. Simple, plain ingredients, and not so bad for your health. I think in Britain, I think we have more so-called refined food, but it's not so healthy. And particular dishes, we've had dal and lassi.
Okay. So, do you remember any names of local food?
Well, I said dal.
Dal.
And, well, some expressions.
Tarkari.
There's the curry, and there's the lassi as
Lassi.
well. And, well, I associated with food, we've learned...
Bath.
We've learned the expression mitotsa, hana mitotsa, which I think...
Khana mitocha.
Hana mitotcha. I'm sorry about the pronunciation, but hana mitotcha is, I think the food is tasty. So
Okay.
we're able to express our appreciation of the food.
That's good. Okay. What local places have you recently visited, and what are your impressions about them?
Well, we've been to a local temple. We've been to two, in fact. One on foot, which is not far from the school, and another one,
Shivapuri Dham.
Shivripuri Dham,
Yeah.
which is a much bigger temple.
Yeah.
And I think what struck us is the devotion of the people, and the religiousness of the people, and the beautiful colors as well. So for us, it's an unusual experience to see such beautiful colors, and perhaps the devotion of the Nepalese people.
Okay. You experience religious environment as well as natural environment inside.
Yes. We feel the spirituality. We also went to 𝐑𝐮𝐬𝐬𝐞𝐥𝐥, which is a lake. 𝐑𝐮𝐬𝐬𝐞𝐥𝐥, which is a lake about an hour from here by car. And then we saw the local Nepalese people walking around the lake, taking their photos, and they've got beautiful lilies on the lake.
Right.
And it's a paradise for bird watching as well.
If we talk about travel and accommodations, where have you been living these days, and how is your accommodation?
Well, the school has very kindly provided my wife and I with a room, very comfortable, with an ensuite bathroom, and it's perfectly fine for our needs. And it's a nice change not having to cook or go shopping, etc., because again they've very kindly provided us with food and full board and accommodation. So it's very handy, and we just go downstairs and the meals are ready.
Okay, how do you feel about getting around? And what's your favorite means of transport?
Well, I must say that it's a revelation to be able to take your auto rickshaw, and they are fantastic because you're out in the open air.
Actually, I love the word that introduced for the auto rickshaw,
Yes.
tuk-tuk.
Yeah, I'm not sure where we got the idea tuk-tuk, TikTok from, but maybe we invented one of those. But it
That's
sounds
really
like a good-
beautiful. It sounds beautiful.
Yeah, so our favorite means of transport is definitely the auto rickshaw. But we also like walking around because when you walk around, you have time and you can notice many more details about the way people live, etc.
Okay, if I tell you to make comparison between the climate in Nepal and Britain, how would you compare?
In Britain, if you want to start a conversation with a stranger on a train, you say, look at the weather today, because in Britain it changes very often, and so it could be rainy 1 minute and then sunny and then cloudy, whereas here it's much more stable. We're here,
Constant.
yeah, we're here in the summer, and it hasn't rained since we've been here. It's getting warmer, so it's quite hot, and people tend to be more active in the morning and in the late afternoon, and during the day it's hot but not unbearably hot.
Okay. So, have you learnt any local phrases or slang?
Not so much slang. We've just learnt the namaste, and the
Namaste.
dhanyabad,
Dhanyabad.
and the hana mitotsa.
Hana mitotsa.
It's limited, but I think the namaste is it gives you a
Very
lot of
impressive.
yes, it's very useful because
Okay.
it creates an immediate relationship with strangers.
Intimacy.
Yes.
Okay. Do you think that people here react differently when they hear your accent?
Yeah, they are curious, and in the school in particular, I think they like the idea of listening to a native speaker. Outside the school, I think it's more physical appearance that people find different, and so they are curious about the way I look, because I'm slightly different from what they're used to, especially the fact that in Dangadi there are not so many foreign visitors, I think, and so
Yeah.
I've become a bit of a curiosity. But nobody has been impolite, or I feel perfectly comfortable, and my wife and I walk around, we take a TikTok or auto rickshaw anywhere, and we're perfectly relaxed about it.
Okay, when you make communications with the people who understand your language, who are able to speak to you, that is understandable. But those people who don't understand English and they would like to initiate conversation with you, how would you explain the things to them? By making gestures?
Yeah, I mean, it's surprising, but a lot of the people we see around the town, they shout out in English because they see that we are foreigners and they presume we are English, not French. And so they're quite happy, and they want to speak in English. So in particular, more the younger generation. So lots and lots of students around the town say hello, and even ask us questions, where are you from, etc., etc. So we have the chance to speak in English with them as well.
Okay, so how did you feel when you were welcomed at the gate of Chaitanya Pathashala for the first time?
Well, we arrived in the late afternoon, I remember, I'll never forget.
I see.
And I felt a bit, or we felt a bit like the royal family arriving, because the welcome was incredible.
Majestic.
And we had never had such a welcome before, and probably never will unless we come back to Nepal. And even the following morning, we had the welcome assembly where we met the students and heard them singing the national anthem. As I said, we felt like royalty, and what has struck me in particular is the incredible hospitableness of the people of 𝐑𝐮𝐬𝐬𝐸, the school, the management of the school, yourself and the CEO, have been incredibly kind, and we find that very moving, in fact.
Okay, so will you visit Nepal again?
Yeah, we would like to come back. I mean, we're getting a bit older now, so we need to see other countries as well. But this has been our first experience of working as a guest teacher, as it were, and it's been incredibly positive. So we would willingly come back to Chaitanya Pathashala, and and now we are moving on. After a couple of weeks, we're going to Mushdang and Kathmandu, and I'm sure we'll have a very positive experience there too.
What important tips would you like to draw to the visitors or tourists who would like to come to Nepal?
Well, just be open-minded and be friendly, as the people are, and I think you'll have a wonderful time. I mean, I think Nepal attracts many people, in particular the people who are active, adventurous, who like the outdoor life, I think in particular, and I think you will not be disappointed.
Okay, so what are your further plans? Because you will be staying for a couple of weeks here.
Yes,
and after that, what will you be doing here?
No,
in Nepal?
we're going to be going by car to Mushdang, to Pokhara.
Okay.
And that is meant to be a very beautiful place, which is a starting point for visiting the Himalayas. And we're going to go to Lower Mushdang in particular, because we haven't got so much time. We'd like to go to Upper Mushdang, but it's a bit more expensive, and we haven't got so much time to go there. So we'll go to Lower Mushdang, Pokhara, and around there, and then spend the last 2 or 3 nights in Kathmandu before flying from Kathmandu to Delhi and then back to Europe.
I see. So, what is your experience related to teaching the students and teachers in this school?
Yeah, I find the students very enthusiastic. I think their knowledge of English is, obviously in any class you get different levels and students who are slightly better than others, but I found their comprehension is very good, their knowledge of vocabulary as well, you know, speaking as a teacher. Some aspects of pronunciation need to be improved, and what I would say maybe to the school is to, and I said it to the teachers as well, because the teachers, I've had teacher training sessions with them as well, and I would probably recommend mostly to give the students the opportunity to speak in class. That's what I've been doing with the students, and I think they appreciate that opportunity to communicate with their peers and not just have a classroom situation where everybody is like choral repetition, etc. So that's probably the main advice. Get them, even though I'm very impressed with their level anyway, and I think they're doing fine, and I think the teachers are doing a good job as well. So, and I've been working a bit with the teachers on phonetics and pronunciation, and I hope it's useful for them, you know, because the difficulties of the Nepalese in particular, I'm just learning now, whereas for other nationalities, I know what problems they have with pronunciation because I've spent more time with them. So it's been very positive, both for students and teachers, and I wish them and the school all the very best. I'm sure with the management you've got a bright future and moving in the right direction.
Thank you very much for your volunteering to our institutions. Whatever you have taught us, for example, pronunciation, grammar, classroom language, and classroom techniques and methods, we would like to remember, modify, and we will be doing better and better for our students, guardians, and communities. Finally, Rachel, so what suggestions would you like to drop to our school?
Yeah, I think, as I said before, I think the main thing would be to give the students the opportunity to speak in English, which they have already. Maybe doing a bit more pair work and small group work. But as I said before, I think you're doing a good job, and I'm saying it sincerely. I'm not, saying it without really meaning it. And I would just suggest getting them to do, pair work and giving the opportunity to speak in English as much as possible. Then they become masters of the language, just as you speak English very well. I think they are having the opportunity with the school, with your direction and your staff. I think they have a bright future.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Principal. I'm very.
This is the first interview we have taken in the Chaitanya Samvad.